good evening, viewers. Welcome to the 79th episode of CovidCastJa. Today, we're talking about business evolution in crisis. And we will be talking with one of our premier institutions that assist businesses not only in crisis, but businesses in their growth stage. So we'll be hearing a lot about what EXIM Bank does. Because I know a lot of when we had EXIM Bank on, there were lots of questions and comments. So now we have an episode where we have EXIM Bank, but also clients of EXIM Bank. So we will be hearing from some fantastic SMEs today that will take us through their business and how they have worked with EXIM Bank. So today is episode 79, which means that next week we celebrate episode 80, which will be a special Christmas edition where we'll talk about some of our favorite things and where we're going to have some exciting, when we say exciting, I mean exciting giveaways. You know what Oprah said? Giveaway for you, present for you, because we are celebrating next week, episode 80 of CovidCastJa. Now, this week's memo is a very important one for you to have. And you're asking, what memo are you talking about, Rochelle? Well, if this is your first episode, we have a weekly written memo that's available to you for download. Please email us at sme@psoj.org so that you will be on our weekly mailing list. But you can also visit us on smallbusinessportal.com. And not only will you have access to this week's memo, but you will have access to memos, because remember, we're at episode 79. So you'll have access to memos from weeks before. So you will have 78 other memos at your disposal. Can you imagine that? So this week's memo actually provides some fantastic information and details about the product offerings from EXIM Bank that will help you and your business to evolve. So please ensure that you are downloading this information. And the National Export-Import Bank of Jamaica, that's what EXIM is Jamaica's premier trade financing institution and the Caribbean's first export-import bank. It plays a fundamental role in national development by providing a wide range of financing instruments at competitive interest rates for the country's productive sector. It aims to assist in the growth of this sector and to contribute to the development of the wider national economy. And bolstering the productive sector is crucial at this time. Notwithstanding, we hear say there's a new variant of COVID, we must be bolstering our productive sector and also strengthening our domestic production. So this week, and please, if you have not reached out to any of your friends yet and your fellow SMEs to let them know that this is a very important episode that they must join right away. We will hear from Lisa Bell, Managing Director of EXIM Bank, Ms. Raquel Brown, who is a Board Director of EXIM Bank and also Managing Director of Ivory Rock Limited. We'll also hear from Mr. Ansel Temporal, who is Director of Finance. He's actually CEO of Legacy Manufacturing and Distribution Limited, a manufacturer of local paper bag products, yes. And also Mr. Mark McConnell, Director of Bear Nutrition Company Limited, manufacturers of Origin Natural Juices. So we'll hear from EXIM Bank, but we're also going to hear from each other. We're going to hear from other SMEs who have utilized the services of EXIM Bank. Now, Lisa Bell is no stranger to CovidCast, and every time Lisa comes on, people want to hear from Lisa again. So tonight is an episode dedicated to EXIM, so you'll be able to ask Lisa Bell many questions. And she was appointed MD of EXIM Bank in May of 2020. So she's been at this for quite some time. In this role, she leads a team responsible for the overall management, business development, loan financing, and general operations of the bank. She has held various other leadership positions that have really helped to equip her for this role. She was Deputy President of Jampro Trade and Invest Jamaica, where she contributed over 8 years of service to National Investment and Export Agency. And you know that before Jampro, she served as Deputy General Manager and General Manager, Alpha Financial Services and the Victoria Mutual Investments Limited. So Lisa can speak from the private sector position. She can speak as a government agency. So there is so much that we learn from Lisa Bell tonight. So ladies and gentlemen, help me to welcome Lisa Bell.
Hi, Rochelle. How are you?
I am good. Great to have you on the program again. And you know that many of our viewers have been asking lots of questions about EXIM Bank. You were recently a panelist on our Building Wealth conference, and we got many, many questions and requests for additional information. In fact, your session, and you were pointed out as one of the speakers that persons particularly found engaging.
Wow.
So we know that people want to hear more. Shelley and Elliot, how you do? Welcome, welcome. So Lisa, let's jump straight into it from an Exim Bank, and just to give a bit of color again, because I've described some of what Exim Bank does.
Mhm.
But from your perspective for SMEs, what are the key things that services that Exim Bank offers that people need to be aware of?
Well, Rochelle, as you know, and I want our members to know that we're a government agency, and we are charged with the responsibility of increasing access to finance, particularly for the SME sector. Why the SME sector? Because the SME sector is the engine of growth for an economy in a developing country. They provide employment, they spawn innovations for many different reasons. We particularly have a focus on exports and increasing the potential to export. But the
Mhm.
truth is that in order to increase exports, you really have to address all the problems along the entire value chain.
Exactly.
So we provide financing solutions to everybody on that value chain. Everybody who provides a good or a service that supports export is a potential customer of Exim. We are a
Okay.
development bank. So we're different, very different from the commercial banking sector. We seek to look at the risk associated with SMEs and try
Mhm.
to craft products and solutions which will actually help them to grow.
So, and I think that's a very important thing for persons to understand because they see the word bank and in many instances are not aware of the difference. It's not a commercial bank, it is a government agency and it is a development bank. So it really is
Absolutely.
to assist the development of this particular sector. So Lisa, you've seen a lot in your
Yeah.
time in private and public sector. I mean, I know we have never seen anything quite like this pandemic, which seems to be going on and on. But as you're looking at some of the common business problems, that you are encountering with our SMEs from the start of the pandemic to now, what are some of the common challenges that we see our SMEs facing?
Well, Rochelle, they have changed over. I mean, we've been at this for over a year and a half, right? And the truth is, in the early months, we we were proactive in trying to help our SMEs and our client portfolio to address what we know was coming down the pike. It is
Hmm.
no, even though the pandemic is new, world crisis is not, and
Exactly.
the issues that they face, that SMEs face, are well documented. So we
Hmm.
were proactive in trying to provide solutions. For instance, we gave moratoria on payments, suspended debt servicing, we restructured loans, we provided payment assistance. I mean, there were a number of different tools that we deployed early in the pandemic just to give SMEs some breathing space. But what we're finding as time has passed is that some of those issues have actually been exacerbated. Where a small business may have a small treasure chest where they kind of keep some savings in order for a rainy day, those have been exhausted. And what
Hmm.
we're finding is we have to extend even further moratoria and payment assistance. We also work alongside the DBJ, which is our sister agency, who, as you know, came up with a very innovative program recently called Serve,
Yes.
which allowed for the refinancing of existing debt. Now,
Hmm.
why is that important? It is critically important because the literature tells us that during this period, the most important thing an economy can do in a developing country is save businesses. This is not really about growth. This is preventing their closure because we
Exactly.
understand, being the largest employer group, if a
Hmm.
SME closes, you really are seeing a ripple effect in the economy. By way of example, I remember maybe in the middle of last year, no, towards the third quarter of last year, I was talking to a potential client, a large brand in Jamaica, well-known brand, restaurant brand in Jamaica. And he, in listening to his woes, he almost immediately, once the pandemic hit and because of the curfews, had to lay off a third of his staff,
Yeah.
right? The remaining two-thirds, which were largely made up of women, very important in the context of the impact of an economy, he was struggling to remain open. He had done creative things in terms of shifting hours, reducing salaries in order to maintain employment. Those are the kinds of things, and he was lamenting about the assistance that he needed in order to remain open. Right?
Yes.
Luckily, he has been able to, but he is struggling,
Mm.
like many other SMEs are, and important in this context, and will unfortunately continue as we look at Omicron coming down the pike, that we have to put in measures that will save the companies, to provide them the working capital that they need to meet their bills in order to pay their employees so they don't have to lay off and close their doors. So I see, and our role at EXIM is to provide that kind of assistance in the best way that we can.
Yes. And this is actually very important. We are talking about business evolution in crisis. And a part of the evolution in this crisis is the stage of actually remaining open and remaining viable for as long as possible. Because as you said, we really don't know how long this is going to go on. And every time we see that we think we see a little light, we hear
Mhm.
of another variant. But in terms of your clientele, what has been the appetite to actually utilize these kinds of services? Are people afraid to reach out and get the help, or are you finding that people are really coming and knocking on Exim's doors to say, I need to be a part of this?
To be honest, it's been a mixed bag, and we when we had launched a number of products that we thought we would be uh, helpful during the early days, we didn't see the take up that we anticipated, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that is a part of the deer in the headlights syndrome. You know, people, small business, you just don't know, you don't think you should be borrowing additional money right now, and we continue to see some take up, but not as much as we anticipate. And we have to be doing a number of awareness sessions that say, you know, there is a way to get through this, and staying still is not the answer.
Ah,
Conversely, we saw a number of entities who are taking advantage of opportunities. You know, the other side of any crisis is opportunity. So we
yes.
saw companies who are able to pivot, people who are able to take advantage of emerging trends in medicine or in the production of certain chemicals. We saw people innovating in terms of how they deliver their products. We saw innovations in terms of people exporting more. Some of the good things that have come out of this pandemic is that there has been an evolution in the e-commerce area, and therefore I use this analogy all the time, that a little woman in Clarendon producing castor oil has a
Mm-hmm.
mechanism to get that into the international market fairly easily. And when you think about evolutions and what has happened to Amazon and eBay and Etsy and their openness to small businesses, it actually creates an opportunity for small businesses in Jamaica that did not exist before. So
Because
we've
in fact, that's a big part of the evolution, that the
Exactly.
opportunities for small businesses, notwithstanding the crisis, have actually opened up considerably.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm sure our listeners may have heard that, you know, Amazon in particular made a landmark decision maybe a month or two ago that would
Mhm.
allow small businesses to put their products to market. That is major. That
Yes.
is major. And we are looking at ways how we can support that even more. In other
Yes.
words, to help our SMEs boost their production and to get it to market in a timely manner. And that's some of the positive things that have happened.
That have happened. And Lisa, as businesses are facing these
Mhm.
challenges, and I was speaking to a business owner the other day, and she said to me that if she hear one more person talk about the opportunity in the crisis, she said, Rochelle, me tired.
Exactly.
We're tired.
Yeah.
And she recognizes that she still has a viable product and there's other means of getting to market. But she's like, I'm tired.
Mhm.
um, from the EXIM Bank's perspective, where people are now struggling with how do I get help to make that next step, that next viable move, is EXIM one of those places that they can go to get that kind of assistance, that boost for the next step, to come out of the tired stage?
And Rachel, the truth is things like CovidCast are very important because they help to provide information. Because part
Mhm.
of the issue is that people don't know what they don't know.
Yes.
So it's important to give them the tools and the information that they can to make rational decisions. So we've built our the number of workshops and interfaces that we're doing online. We're part of COVIDcast for that very reason, so
Mhm.
people can understand what products we have. EXIM notes specifically to what we've done. There are a number of loan programs that we still have available to SMEs that are at historically low rates. Yes, Serve has come out with 2% at 10 million, but we have products that are at 4.5, and that's still incredibly low for our SME.
Mhm.
The ministry had put out a product very recently. We call it our reset loan, which allows an SME to access funding for any new ventures they want to do. When you couple that with a serve program, yes, you can only get 10 million at 2%, but you may have a bigger need, but you can blend those funds with our 4.5%. We are very flexible in the kind of collateral we require and in the terms, that because we know COVID exists. So it
Yes.
is important that you come to us. We also have a program in tourism called our SMTE program, Small
Mhm.
and Medium Sized Tourism Enterprises, which is geared at, because we know tourism is one of what we call the V industries, which is going to rebound fairly
Mhm.
quickly. We're trying to keep our SMTEs open and preparing so that when that rebound happens, and it has begun to happen, they will be able to respond very quickly. We
Yes.
also have trade credit insurance, receivables financing, all issues which address issues that SMEs have. And we are tired ourselves of hearing, oh my God, them have so much money on the road and them can't collect their money and them afraid to sell to a buyer. This receivables financing product really gives protection against those kinds of risks.
Yes.
And that's just some of them, but I think those are the ones that speak to the specific issues that SMEs are currently facing.
And the key is, as we said the last time that we discussed some of the products, is
Mhm.
go to EXIM.
Yes.
Go ask the questions. The people are there to assist you. But very importantly, we will also hear from some clients of EXIM Bank, because sometimes people are like, we really want to hear about some real life.
Exactly.
If something
And I
really,
and I know they will speak honestly, because
yes.
I think even more than me saying so, it's important that your listeners be able to relate to a
Mhm.
company who has walked through the process and can speak to how we are able to address the problems that they were facing.
Yes. So thank you, Lisa. Lisa is actually going to come back to join us a little later in the show, but we are going to hear now from one of our SMEs who has benefited from Exim Bank. So Ansel Temporal he's actually a chartered accountant with an MBA from Florida International University and a diploma in international financial reporting. He has worked with PwC and has extensive experience in the manufacturing industry, specifically in paper packaging products. So, also having worked in leadership and ownership manager positions at Jamaica Packaging, he is now Legacy's CEO and chairman. So, we will hear of his own journey into entrepreneurship. And I suppose when he comes on, you'll be able to look at his face and know that he is a Casey old boy. For it is.
It's forever. Point is forever.
Forever.
Don't leave out the forever.
Ansel, it's great to have you on. I see Max is on. Max, welcome, boy. Max, welcome, welcome, welcome. So, Ansel, you have to start with telling us about this journey, because you're a chartered accountant. So I know people expect it to hear we're in the professional services business and not in paper production. Can you tell us about Move and tell us about your company?
Well, first of all, thanks, Rochelle, for inviting me. First time on the program, love the energy. Thank you very much. Even though I'm an accountant by nature and almost by blood, I've always had a penchant for what is productive and to see production, watching cookies being made, biscuits, anything being manufactured. So I had that love for the industry from early in my accounting days. So I gravitated towards that industry.
Yes.
And, here we are. So, if you want to know a little bit about legacy, in 2016, my brother came to me and said, boy, Ansel, there's a bag machine for sale in the man. Let's buy it. All right, let's do it. So we bought one bag machine. And we took some time. That was in 2016. Registered the company and took some time to get it.
And this is a bag machine. For those who don't hear properly, bag machine, yes.
Yes. So it's a paper bag machine. Everybody is familiar with a patty bag. And
yes.
that particular machine could make a patty bag. But as I thought it through, Rochelle, I thought, I'm not sure if people would take us really serious if we just could make one bag. Mm-hmm. You can't go to a customer and say, hey, I have a bag to sell. And say, what kind of bag you have? I say, I have a 1 pound bag. They say, no, we need more than that. We can't leave our existing supplier for you for one bag. So we decided, let's go into the market and try to find some more machines, which we did. Mm-hmm. So we went to a search. We found two machines that we pretty much bought from pocket because it's a family business.
Yes.
And then we said, well, this takes us midway. So it takes us to the medium-sized bags. But we need to have more machines to make even bigger bags, 12 pound, 16 pound bags. But there was one problem. We never have any more money. And that's a big problem. And I tell you, Rochelle, we went to so many people and talked and make presentations. I felt like it was a bad case of Shark Tank. It was just one, no, not interested, no, And then I said, you know what? Let me go to somewhere that I think will listen to us. Mm-hmm. And I got an appointment with EXIM, walked in, and the first thing I saw on the wall, and I'm not quoting it, but it says something like, our client success is our success. And I felt good. I said, all right, I think I'm in the right place. And I sat down, made my presentation, and a lot of things happening between that time and now, but here we are, and I'm still a satisfied customer of the EXIM Bank.
So you are, hi, Sandra. I know like people like Sandra want to know real live clients of EXIM Bank. So you would have been a recipient. You've gone through the process. You tried other mechanisms of getting funding, and your funding came from EXIM Bank.
Correct. And I think it's important to say this, that normally banks don't look at new companies that are less than 3 years old. Mm-hmm. We went into EXIM at our first year of operations and got funding in year 1. All right. So that's kind of a chance that they took on us because they believe in what we presented. They believed in the history of the team that was developing the business, and they came in with us, and that for us is a milestone. We wouldn't be here doing all this if we hadn't had that support.
So as we hear, because we you have a background in accounting and to the business case and all of them. Some of our SMEs are saying, yeah, but Ansel a bright man. Ansel understands how to do those things. Did you find the process, was it an easy process? Is it a process that you only could have an MBA to get through that process? Or is this a process that an SME could reinvent into?
I'll be very honest that it does take a little bit of know-how to do it. EXIM was very supportive during the process. There were some things that could have been better, but they were very open and candid that, okay, Ansel, we can work on these areas. Because in the process, I think what came out of it, we realized that there's a lot of work that has to be done in putting these applications in. and persons would need support with it. I think EXIM recognizes that. And they have been very open and candid about working towards building that kind of a service support. You know, very often I would get a call from EXIM to answer how is business, how is it going. So it moved almost from just being a bank client relationship to almost friendship, where I would see the number calling and I knew it was Tanya, or I knew it was Vanilla or somebody, because they're always trying to, how is it going? How are you going? You didn't feel removed from them in that sense, and I think that was very helpful. But it does take, I believe, some expertise to kind of put all the you know, your business plan together. That's not something that you're gonna do, you know, without any kind of a knowledge on how to do it. But once you can get through that, then, you know, sky's the limit as far as the support that you get from EXIM.
Yeah, and EXIM does provide the support. So, I mean, you are in the paper production business. We would have seen lockdowns over several months that would have affected many of your clients who you supply to. What was that COVID period like for you? And did you get any support from EXIM during the height of the pandemic?
Boy, I tell you, Rochelle, when COVID hit, mash way up. Right. And let me put that in some perspective. We had just made deposits on the additional machinery. And just beginning to build some momentum in the business. You know, our operations still a little shaky, you know, feeling our way through. And then here we are getting excited about 2020, and out of nowhere, crash, everything happened. So here we are we owing the bank, we have, you know, we have stock on the floor, but we owe the creditors. You know, it's just a long litany of issues and problems. And we're like, wow, how are we going to do this? So how we navigated that, Rochelle, is we were just very blunt and honest with everybody, all the stakeholders. We went to them. We didn't wait on them to come to us. We spoke with EXIM, said, hey, listen, we're going to need one thing that is premium in any kind of crisis is time.
Yes.
Right? So I called my suppliers, I called, you know, customers, I called EXIM and said, listen, we are in this for the long run. So I think when people know that you're not in it just for tomorrow or just for a couple of years, they believe in you and they trust you, right? So we explained to them we need time. So EXIM in particular, we looked at restructuring the loan. We got extension on our medium-term loan in terms of the tenure of the loan. We got a restructured interest rate. We got an extension on our repayment cycle for our revolving loan so that it was more in sync with a longer operating cycle for us, because now it was taking us longer time to get the paper into shipping. The shipping world was in a crisis. You couldn't get paper, so it was like a perfect storm for any business, particularly like ours, to just say, oh, forget it. Couldn't get paper, couldn't get, you know, the shipping lines were saying, hey, we can't give you this till 6 months. And it was just crazy. So we needed time, Rochelle, because we were convinced that our business model and our business plan was solid, but we needed time. And that is what EXIM bought us by, you know, staying loyal to us and supporting us through the process and giving us time to pay. And even when we miss payments, you know, we get maybe a soft call, hey, and so, you know, when are we going to get the payment? I said, not sure about this week, you know, probably another week or two. But, you know, again, it was that kind of a relationship where it's almost like you're a family member, you owe some money, and they say, well, you know, pay me. And you say, the school, no, man, soon give you, we're working on something. So we developed that relationship today.
You had a sound business model that's affected by a crisis.
Yeah.
And, you know, as you're speaking, I know some of our SMEs, people are watching and them say, so Ansel, how you bounce back from that? How you never just said, you know what, me done?
But Rochelle, there's a reason why the company is named Legacy. It's really, for me, a play on the real world legacy. When we started the business, we knew it was something we wanted for family, that after we long gone and in the grave, that our children, our children's children, would have it. That would be something that stayed in the family. So for us, there was nothing about giving up. It never crossed our mind for a second. So we canvassed the family. Everybody put $1,000 at this, and everybody throwing them money, pension money, any money that you can find. Borrow some money here, take out a personal loan there, and everybody from everywhere, from New York, from Florida, from Canada, from Jamaica, everybody does say, "Hey, I have $1,000. I'll send it." Say, "Hey, I need $200. We need to pay the rent next week." Okay, I'll send $500. And we survived because we had to just canvas, and not just blood family, but my KC family as well, because one of my partners in the business is a college guy that I've known from, we used to walk barefoot in Portmore.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And because I have built up those relationships over the years where people know me and trust me, then it was easy for me to have access to that support because, the integrity that I brought to the table. And I'm saying it because a small business is, no matter what it is, people going to remember you, not for your business, but for you. Because they're seeing you more than they're seeing the business, to be honest. When they hear the business name, they think of a person more than they think of the business. Who is behind that name? And if you can establish that kind of integrity behind business, people always open doors for you, right? Whether you be this size or what, people are going to open doors for you, and help you. And we had that support when we needed it. And we continue to have that.
I see Narda saying, yes, it's you and your relationship and integrity. Rita was commenting on the relationship that EXIM has, which is different than a commercial banking relationship. And as Lisa mentioned, it's a development bank. But what I think you've also helped to drop with your fellow SMEs is that we have to believe in the business. So we have to believe, we have to create those relationships. And as you say, you're building a legacy, and everybody saw beyond the 2020 part of the crisis to are going to bounce back. So now you've done your moratorium with EXIM. The college man, everybody puts in their piece because legacy is going to be a legacy. When you're looking at 2022 now and your bounce back and what's in the future, what do you see as the outlook for 2022?
Rochelle, we're busting at 2022. You understand? No, man, we're busting. 2022 mash up. We are spending some time now to position our operations. Right, we're working on efficiencies. We're getting machine configurations. We're creating those linkages with our suppliers overseas for paper. So we are just pretty much using this year to stabilize and to set that springboard and that platform for 2022. Just today, I got 2 calls from 2 brand new customers. We're making a delivery tomorrow for one of them. Right? Our biggest problem now is that we can't make the bags fast enough. And that's why we're spending time now to build capacity so that we can have that reliability, and our product quality is way up there.
Yes.
Probably the best bags in Jamaica, to be honest. So right now we're just preparing. And I've been talking to EXIM since the last couple of weeks. I know about the new DBJ money. So we're talking about that already. We're talking about extended facility. We bought one more piece of machinery that can allow us to be much more flexible with the paper roll sizes that we use. So we're just getting ready. TDGX always say, get ready. So that's where we are. We're just kind of getting ready right now for 2022. And we're feeling very positive. And again, we're happy for the support that EXIM has given us over the last couple of years.
Wow, thank you. Answer, you couldn't have sold it better. It's busway time in the 2022. And rather than saying, "Me tired, I'm done," you've utilized the time to improve the efficiency of this product that you have created. I see Rita Hilton. Rita says, do you have a design for a bag to fill specialty products like spices or flour?
That is, if you're talking about flour, you're talking about a twin ply or 2-ply bag. We can do 2-ply bags that she's talking about. Or a specialty bag, it depends on what she's talking about, because you can have a bag that you seal. So then we'd have to talk off the air about the technicalities of it. But right now, because there's such a huge market for just regular plain bags, that's where we have our focus now. But we're looking at going into different bags in the coming years. Because we can do as much as print up to 3 or 4 colors on our bags.
Okay.
Right, which is something that we're looking to go into, but right now it's just all plain bag because the market is just awash with people wanting just plain bags.
Right.
And so now we're using that as the base product to build, momentum, to build cash flow, to have some market penetration, and then we can look into the other stuff. But I'm willing to talk to.
So where we find you, Ansel? Because some SMEs are like, I need to get in touch with Ansel. Where do you find you?
We are in the cool hills of Temple Hall, where the rent is way less cheaper than on the plains. But we pretty much deliver to all our customers in the corporate area, and if we go outside of that, normally we have a delivery charge that is attached to it. But yeah.
So where can they email you?
You can at atemporal@legacymfg.com.
Okay, so we'll put it in the chat. Are your colors, are they biodegradable?
Our bags?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Rita heard that. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. We're gonna have to bring you back on in 2022 to hear about the busway.
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, viewers, we just heard from Ansel Temporal, who is Director of Finance at Legacy, a paper manufacturing company. He has told us about his own experience with EXIM Bank prior to the pandemic and during the pandemic. And we now welcome to CovidCast, I think this is for the first time, Mr. Mark McConnell. So Mark grew up in the juice business, and he set out in 2012 to do things his way with a new generation of juice, as a new generation of juice artisan, committed to making Caribbean specialty juice products with no chemicals or sugar added. So can you imagine coconut water like it's straight from the husk, creamy soursop juice that pours thick over ice, a bolt of flavor like West Indian cherries that burst in your mouth, or the spicy tang of sorrel in the festive season. And by the way, their bottling is pretty awesome too. So today, Origin has an exciting repertoire of juice experiences that range from bold and bright to smooth and relaxing to light and refreshing. And tonight we'll hear about their experience during the pandemic and some of the new things that we can expect to hear from Origin and to see from Origin. And very importantly, what has their experience been with EXIM? So please join me in welcoming Mark McConnell.
Hi, Rochelle. Thank you very much for having me. I've never heard anybody describe it so well, the way you said those words. I need to record that.
and I am a proper fan of Origin juice.
Thank you very much.
It's exactly how I describe it. So I could say it from a point of real reference.
From the heart. Thank you so much, Rochelle.
And Mark, sorry,
congratulations to Ansel as well on his success, and I wish him much success in 22, as he said. Yeah, man.
I think we're all looking forward to that.
Yeah.
It's lovely. No, this business, this Origin business, we've seen lots of different juice businesses, but you've taken it to a whole other level, and there's a particular passion behind it. Can you tell us about the growth of this business and why the juice business?
Well, there are a massive juices in Jamaica. Brands pop up every day, but a lot of them are the same. They're made from concentrate. They have preservatives added, and they're loaded down with sugar. When we looked at the landscape, nobody was doing a product that was never made from concentrate, with no sugar added and no preservatives. And so we decided that was the angle that we wanted to go into, a healthier product that we know it does cost a little more, but the quality is there, and you're getting a healthy product.
Yes.
That you can be, you can feel good about drinking rather than guilty.
So you would have gone through a lot of the vagaries of the pandemic. You are a manufacturer, so you do depend on labor. You depend on the supply of products. What was that whole pandemic, especially in that early period when we're still trying to get our footing? What was that like for your business?
Well, I mean, in the early period, we're here in 2 weeks and done, and now we're 2 years later. But early period, so we do a lot of exports into the Eastern Caribbean, so hotel business there as well as the supermarkets. And as soon as the pandemic hit, obviously everything hotel-based went to zero. And that was a good 40% of our business in that sector. So when that goes to zero in a market like Barbados, the hotel business actually helps to carry the retail origin juice business. So you're sending a container over there. Half of it is for a hotel, and the other half is for the retail trade, or for the hotels, and then the other half for the retail trade. So when you lose the hotel business, you actually lose all of it. So a couple of those export markets went straight to zero. But I'm happy to say that they bounced back pretty quickly. About 6 to 8 months after, we started to get orders again, and the orders started to come back in. Once the hotel sectors opened up, it was a slow recovery, but it has picked up. Back. Not where we were in 2019 with our exports, but it's getting better.
It's getting, and you are an actual export client of EXIM. Lisa talks about getting the domestic production well, so that for export. What has your experience been like with EXIM Bank?
So we're a little older than Answer's business. We started in 2012. Started similar to Answer though, where it was just kind of out-of-pocket money that we used. We bought equipment on eBay, we pieced together machinery and got it going. But it took off pretty quickly, and we realized that we needed bigger machines, faster machines. So we actually went to the commercial banks, and we were able to secure a loan with a commercial bank. But then things progressed, and we wanted to go into the other product categories. But the commercial bank interest rates and their requirements were a lot higher than what EXIM has. And EXIM came out with an amazing facility, which was 25 million at 4.5%, I believe. And we took avail of that, and we were able to purchase an entire new filling line that will get us into a totally different product category, which is it's a line that does pouch foods. So we've actually launched. If you let me show everybody, it's pouch baby food. Sorry. So this is the banana and the mango, and these are on the market now and doing very well.
It's a purees.
It's a purees, right? So it's 100% fruit in pureed form. In this package, which is shelf stable for babies and then kids up to.
No, let me tell you, Mark, it's a funny thing. I see Rajesh said that he loves the origin white tea, and his daughter loves the banana puree. But sometimes when we see these Bose packaging, we don't realize that is our very own Jamaican product. Yeah, because I know this product and we never realize their origin. Very Bose. And the are really good. I see Narda says, very cool and groundbreaking for Caribbean households.
Wow, thank you, Narda. I really appreciate that.
The thing though is that this particular product and you're continuing to grow the product line of Origin, a lot of it still was going on through the pandemic.
So this line, we had the idea to do it prior to the pandemic. And then the pandemic hit, and we realized that we needed additional revenue streams, and also to diversify our product portfolio, to get into more markets, different markets, get towards different customers. And that's when we came up with this. We realized that, when you're a juice show and you're selling juice to hotels, one little slip and you can be out of business. So we wanted to diversify and go into different product categories that complement our vision and our brand and what we're going for. And so that's why we came up with this. And we also launched into oat milks. I don't know if you've seen this one, but it's a straight oat milk origin brand. It's in the dairy section, and we also do a peanut oat milk as well. So it's non-dairy and all made right here in Jamaica in Mobile.
Yeah, and that we like anything that have a peanut punchy kind of vibe to it.
That has been doing very, very well.
So
that was two products that we pivoted to.
Yes. So in this pivot, how did EXIM assist you to be able to do these pivots because you had existing arrangements with them?
Yeah, well, no. So we had existing arrangements before, and then COVID hit, and obviously our revenue took a massive hit, and our ability to repay our loans took a big hit. EXIM, we didn't have to call EXIM. EXIM called us. And they said, we know the markets you're in, we know what's happening, we know that we're sure you're under a lot of pressure. And they were forthcoming with offering a moratorium on interest and principal payments. Initially, they did it for 3 months. Then before we could call them after the 3 months, they put it to 6. And I think eventually it ended up at 9 or 12 months. Moratorium on interest and principal that they gave us, which was breathing room for us. I mean, that's like throwing a lifeline to somebody that's drowning,
Yeah.
So we're forever grateful for that, because they really reached out to us and gave us that.
Yeah, and as you said, you didn't have to reach out to them; they actually reached out to you.
Yeah. And kept doing so and kept checking in. Yeah.
Yeah. So we heard this very same thing from Ansel, that they kept checking in, because sometimes we hear of our government agencies, so we think government agency, nobody's going to actually check up on me and follow up with me, but this is a different type of operation. I say Jen says EXIM rocks, and great flexibility from EXIM. And Rita Hilton, I knew Rita Hilton was going to ask this question. How do you cope with the seasonality of local foods? So you have pandemic dealing with, plus the seasonality of local foods. How you manage?
So we do, a lot of our products are frozen, and we also do source outside of Jamaica when we can't get products locally for our juices.
Yeah.
So that's how we kind of that's how we're able to have products on the market all season long.
Yeah.
So foods are frozen.
And Mark, as you are looking out at 2022, I mean, most businesses, the outlook that people had in 2020, because 2020 was the year of that's 2020 vision, and this was when people was going boss way. As Ansel said, boss way year is 2022. But you have actually launched some new products during this time, and as you are seeing the outlook, as you are seeing what's happening in the industry, but just changes due to the pandemic and how we've been adjusting, what do you see as the outlook for 2022?
I have Ansel's optimism for 22. We have a lineup of products now that we've never had before in all the different categories. We have something in dairy. We have something on the dry shelf for baby food. We have our juices, and we're going to be bringing back our coconut water soon. And we're also be launching more of our iced teas that they were talking about. We're going to launch a green tea with ginseng shortly. So 2022, if we continue the way we are now and continue to grow out of this pandemic and open up more and get people moving around a bit more. The first cruise ship landed in Mobile yesterday, which is a good sign. Because the shipping business, obviously, that helps our local economy and will help drive some more local sales for us. So we are very optimistic about 22 as well. If all goes well, we should have a great year.
Yes, well, thank you very much for joining us, Mark. And I mean, as Lisa said, EXIM Bank is also in the business of ensuring that our businesses stay afloat.
Yeah.
But some of the concessions you were able to get, you also utilize the time to get into new product sets so that you were able to diversify. So that was some amazing pivoting there. And say, we're please looking for, and how we spell origin again?
ORIJIN.
Correct, origin. So please look for these products on our shelves. These are all natural products, and I'm dying to go and try these products that are they're in the dairy section now.
The oat milk is in the dairy section, and then the baby foods are actually on the dry shelf in the baby food section.
Yes. So we're looking forward. So thank you so much, Mark. So we're hearing about another busway that we're looking forward to 2022. But you remember, we have to support these businesses. So we also have to be buying Jamaican to build this economy. And I'm seeing a lot of commentary. Dr. Smith, I didn't see this question. If we can get Mark back on a little later on, you're asking, are you able to capitalize on when there's a glut in the market? Shellyan asks, says she's going to try these products. Rajesh says, yes, for the iced teas. Oh, and we are going to also get an email for Mark, because I hear persons wanting to reach out to Mark. So at this time, we are going to welcome back Lisa Bell, but we're also welcoming Lisa with a twist, because we're going to have one of the directors of EXIM, who is herself at SME. She produces one of my favorite products to Irie Rock. You notice a lot of people, I use Jamaican products. Me love to say made into Jamaica. Made into Jamaica. So Raquel has successfully developed a growing brand, receiving numerous awards. So she has received the Eddie Hall New Manufacturer of the Year in 2015, Commonwealth Organization Award as a female-owned business, the National Bakery Bold Ones in Manufacturing Award, the Ignite Award from Development Bank of Jamaica. Her professional focus is in marketing and international business, and she actually holds professional postgraduate diplomas from the Chartered Institute of Marketing. But many of us know her through her products from Irie Rock, Jamaica, and she's going to join Lisa Bell as we get that conversation going with EXIM and an SME who is also a director of EXIM. Raquel, how you doing? I see Narda saying Irie Rock with Raquel, and yes to support brands. I think it's always fascinating when we use these products and we see the people behind the product, and we're like, yes. So Lisa, let me start with you. You wear several hats. You are actually a director of EXIM. You are an actual SME that has gone through the various permutations of this.
Yes.
But you are in a unique position where you sit as an SME on EXIM Bank's board. So you are able to give a different perspective in the decision making, which is a unique place to be in, because
I'm definitely an honor.
Yeah, and you can bring some reality to it. Can you tell us about the role you play on that board, how you see your role on EXIM Bank's board?
I think more than anything, my role and as well as for Director Barkley is also an entrepreneur, young entrepreneur. We play a role more of that voice of our fellow SME our fellow SME entrepreneurs. When decisions are made, we want to know that our voice are in the midst, and make no mistake, we ensure that it is the different heartaches that we're having, the different challenges that we're facing on a day-to-day basis. We, as entrepreneurs, we definitely make it known to the rest of the board, because a lot of the board members are bankers or are in big business is. So their perspective, more likely than not, would be a little bit different from ours. And
Yes.
therefore, having myself and Director Barkley on the board, it gives a more of a balance.
Yes, and I see Lisa nodding.
Mhm.
Hinton says, "Great to see you, Raquel. Congratulations on your product range." Kemwa is giving applause. And just for a little slip away for the people, the two little people in the whole of Jamaica that don't know about Ivory Rock. Can you tell us a bit about the products and where we can find them? Me can tell them where to find it, but you tell them.
Okay, so Rock, we are actually 13 years old this year. So we're not so little anymore
Yeah, we're not
in
big
terms
people
of age.
now.
In terms of age, we're all getting a little bit older. But we are a natural skincare line of products that combines traditional herbs with innovative pharmaceutical ingredients to produce results. At the end of the day, it comes down to that. Ensuring that persons have acne prone skin getting products that can actually assist in treating that skin condition. Persons who have hyperpigmentation, the same, sensitive skin, the same. And as we get older, we can age a little bit more gracefully. Yes, yes, yes,
Some of us need that.
yes.
Yes.
So that's what, in essence, and I'm very summarizing what we do. That is it.
Yeah.
While of course encouraging persons to just be bold and confident in just who they are.
Yes, and your product line, I know many of us have been able to benefit from feeling, 'cause, when our skin stay good, and so we feel a little gooder about ourselves.
Yes,
So
yes,
Lisa, you are the managing director of EXIM. You you have to manage various stakeholders on this board. As Raquel mentioned, they're bankers, there are SMEs, and as I know, one of the things that certainly comes to mind for me is managing the the viability of EXIM, because we want it to last for a while. But I mean, the SMEs that we had on before talked about how EXIM called them and
Mhm.
said, "We know you're gonna need this. And in fact, you might need a little bit more." So you are in it with your customers. How do you manage these stakeholders to, at the end game, focus on who that client is and what EXIM is doing for that client?
It's been very easy. I mean, I've been at Exim for over 11 years now, and the mandate of the organization has always been very, very focused. And I've been privileged to have chairmen and board members who are always aligned to that objective, and that's very, very important because it's easy to slip into something else. And I
Yes.
think to our brilliance of our previous chairman, Butch Hendrickson, who has a passion for SMEs and who in fact, invited both Raquel Brown and Lacey Ann Bartley, small entrepreneurs, into the boardroom, and particularly women,
yes,
and that representation is very important in the boardroom.
crucial.
And it has only augured to our benefit because,
Mm-hmm.
as the Director Brown has said, and I call her Director Brown because she's my director, um, it is refreshing sometimes because they
Mm-hmm.
call you back to your core objective and
Yes.
help you to understand that even though we have experienced bankers on our team who understand financing, sometimes the realism that they provide is invaluable in whether we're crafting products or deliberating on a loan request or trying to determine what this next strategic direction is. And I mean, I know they have been invaluable. Director
Mm-hmm.
Brown, because she is in it every day, provides perspective that adds balance to the other members of the team and all the other stakeholders.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I thank
As we listen, because I think the thing, and certainly in the comments that that our viewers were really drawn to, is the whole relationship with
yes.
the clients. Because at the end of the day, as Ansel mentioned, it is relationships. That's what business is. It's about
Yes, it is.
relationships. And the way that EXIM approached moratoria during the pandemic and reaching out to your clients, were there any other changes that were made or any other unique products that were created for SMEs to handle the pandemic?
Yeah, yes, there were. But let me just comment. I don't know if you heard me, saw me smiling, because when you hear a client, well, me personally, hear a client can speak to how we help them survive. It's actually heartwarming, and
Yes.
that's the truth. Why I'm in the managing director of EXIM Bank, because that means something to me, and hearing how we can navigate them through difficult times is important. Remember, EXIM Bank is not driven by profit. We're
Mhm.
driven by impact, right? And the more impact that we can have on SMEs in this economy is a testament to our success. I always say is when I know I'm ultimately successful is when I'm not needed, right? But the truth is, there will
Yes.
always be market gaps. There will
Yes.
always be new products, and we have found the need to be innovative in how we even deliver products, whether it is through the online mechanisms that we had to use because of social distancing, or
Mhm.
launching of our most recent e-commerce product, which is just geared at helping companies becoming more savvy in using in the internet in order to promote their business. And we are continuously trying to look at what the problems are. And as I said, directors Brown and Barclays, and all our directors, quite frankly,
Mhm.
their knowledge helps us to respond to the needs of our clients.
Yes.
Continue
And
to improve. The truth is,
but I think it's interesting because the pivoting that EXIM has also done during
absolutely.
the time.
Yes.
So you didn't just sit down and say, well, we have these products, we have these sweeter products, and this is how you get them, and that's it. There was a kind of go back to the drawing board. How do we get to our customers? How do we get potential clients who do not know about us to understand more about EXIM, and recognizing some of the gaps, the e-commerce gaps, etc. And the clients are testament to that. And Dr. Smith says that testimonial from Mark about the moratorium was powerful and
Yeah.
should be shared more widely.
I agree.
Rochelle, let me tell you something. It is a difficult exercise sometimes as a MD to manage a whole client portfolio. But one of the things that differentiates us from our commercial banks, I actually speak to my customers. And I've
Yes.
spoken to Ansel one on one, and I've spoken to Mark one on one to talk through not what we can offer them, but what their problems are and what solutions can we craft. And that makes a big difference to an entrepreneur. That just personal touch to understand that somebody is trying to figure out how to help you, right? And that is our mandate. Our mandate is not about giving the highest cost loan and making oodles of profit. It really is about how we can help these companies develop. And I think in our 35-year history, that's what EXIM has been about, and we hope to continue to be able to do that. We need some more funding. We need some more.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I think when if I could have my bigger stakeholders hear those testimonials, it would be proof positive why we are so important at this
Okay.
particular time.
Yeah,
And you know what? One of the things that I have learned is this,
Mhm.
because I am not a banker. Let's make that clear. I am not a banker. But one of the things that I have found very much true to EXIM is the fact that as a small business owner, just a business owner, we want our bankers to get in contact with us. When
Mhm.
the time is rough, we want them to say, what can we do? How can we assist you? And a lot of the time, we don't even know what we want.
Yeah.
And that's
Mhm.
when EXIM come step in and say, what are your issues? What are the problems that you're having? And then from there, we're able to guide you towards the best product that is best suited for you in order to get you to where you want to be.
Yes. And Raquel, you are on the floor. Dr. Smith says that caring yet prudent approach from the financial sector is what will truly drive economic development, which is bolstering the very points that you were just making.
Yeah.
So, Raquel, Irirock products have been here for 13 years. you know, and as you still were able to make it through COVID,
Yes.
and as you are looking at 2022
Yes.
and even what is available from an EXIM Bank, because what we now have are various options for financing. So
Yes.
when
A
people say
lot.
nothing like one, there are various options for financing, such as an EXIM Bank. When you're looking out at 2022 in terms of your business and what is possible in 2022, we've been calling it the busway year because we're speaking it into
Look
being.
here.
So I'm saying it's a busway year. What are you seeing as the outlook?
I think for a lot of us, speaking directly for IROC, one of the things that we have been focusing on for the last 2 years, prior to all of this madness, was to expand on export. We
Mm-hmm.
have put in a lot of groundwork in terms of just bringing our products to market. 2020 was a rough one. It was a rough one for us in terms of export. Um, One of our bigger retailer and distributor within the UK market space, they were locked down, closed down for months, and
Mm-hmm.
therefore we got hit. Um, 30% of our sales were from the hotel industry. We got hit. So we had to, when you say pivot, we had to truly pivot is as to how we were doing business, how we were actually, because everything comes down to sales. We can have all the systems in the world, all the fancy machinery, all the stuff in the world, but if we're not making the sales,
Mm-hmm.
none of that really matters. So we had to get very creative as to how we go about doing this, getting our sales. We did Amazon. We totally revamped our website and literally start promoting our distributors
Yeah.
online platform so that our customers that are within those market space were able to actually get
See,
to the product. For
Yes.
us for 2022 is literally to expand more within the online space because that's where
Mm.
we saw the growth and the expansion. We
Yes.
definitely still want to have a strong holding within the local market space because that is where our bread and butter comes from. But in terms of growth, in terms of development, this pandemic has shown us that online sales is real. It can be one of our biggest market space,
Mm-hmm.
and it allows us to actually, by cutting out the middleman,
get higher
earn a little bit more in terms of revenue and profit. We're able to actually get our products within the global space with less hassle.
Yes, yes. And I see Lisa, when Lisa not only nod, but Lisa move forward.
it is so wonderful to hear. I mean, it's so wonderful to hear.
So because Lisa, now from you, as you are looking out into 2022, Exim has innovated with not only the product offerings, but in fact how you reach your customers and the services provided to your customers. You've now launched in this e-commerce space for your
Mhm.
customers. I mean, when you are looking out, because everything that you're doing says we bossing we know, boss with
Awesome.
Well, we are actually hoping, we know that we have challenges ahead of us, and
it.
we are trying to work through those challenges in order to even step up our game. Because the truth is, development banks are last resort financiers. They're the ones where you can't get no money from the commercial bank, you can't get no money from your credit union, but you have a good product. Those are the ones we are leaning into. We're
Mm-hmm.
leaning into the risk, and that is our role as a development bank, not to avoid it, but to
No.
actually lean into it and to help our companies get through it. So 2022 is going to be more hard work for us, but it's
Yes.
going to change what we do and how we do it because we're talking about evolving times. Trends are changing, buying patterns are changing, and we want to help our customers remain ahead of the curve, not behind, but
Not
ahead of the curve
Head
in
of
order to
the
respond
curve.
to
Yes.
opportunities.
And I see just lots of people agreeing. Congrats to Raquel, great pivot. So I think tonight has also been a very inspirational episode for SMEs, seeing some of the changes our SMEs have done, how they've utilized what EXIM Bank has to offer, and how they've been able. Lisa, you started out at the beginning to say that EXIM is about saving our businesses and
Yes.
recognizing that this is a point we need to save the businesses. So we need to do whatever is necessary to save the business. So I will start with Raquel. As we see the comments coming in. You are an SME, you also sit on Exim Bank. And if you were to just leave two tips or two nuggets with our viewers who themselves are going through their business evolution, as we said earlier, some people just tired. And them is like, no, Sam, I don't know how much longer we can go on with this. What would you leave with our business people?
I think the two things that I would say is always focus on your sales, because when it comes down to everything, comes down to that. Everything is built on that. Figure ways, new ways in which you can reach your customer in order to make that happen. The other thing that saved me quite a bit, especially in 2020, is ensure that your business has proper systems, so that when you're hit, it doesn't just crumble and it's not as fragile as you may think it is.
Yes.
System is what is the foundation of any organization. 2020 was rough personally, emotionally, financially for us, but it's because of the systems that we had in place. And when I was not necessarily in the best frame of mind in my business in 2020, the system was what got it through. My staff knew what to do, when to do it, how to do it, where to do it, and just get it flowing. Without me, in spite of those months when I was not totally present.
Yes. And I'm seeing a lot of yes to systems. I'm seeing in backstage the yes to those systems. And Ansel talked about spending this time to get the efficiencies going. Mark talked about diversifying so that he would remove some of the fragility of the product line that was present at the time. So this was not lying down. This was like,
No.
how do we use what we currently have and keep the business viable, but also like what's next? So
Yep.
Lisa, you've heard from your clients.
Yes, I have, and it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. And I mean, I don't want to ever believe that they're not tough. Other clients that are not going through tough times and who have not been able to pivot. And even though you've interviewed some of our stars, the truth is that there are clients who are still struggling.
Yeah.
And our job is to continue to help them. The one thing that I would want to say to our listeners is this, we've had world crises before, and the greatest innovations come out of crisis. So if you can look beyond the crisis and see where there are opportunities by pivoting, new systems, new operations, new way of doing things, and remain open, then it is likely that you will survive. You need to know your business, but know also where you need to let go and pivot.
And
Yes.
people, yes. And I know many of our viewers are saying, all right, we really want to read a little bit more about what Exim Bank has to offer. And this week's memo, the information is there, the contact details are there. Please download that memo and email us at sme@psoj.org so that you can be on our mailing list. So, ladies, thank you for the work that you are doing with Exim. It is, I think, heartwarming is not just the testimony of your clients, but to recognize that a government agency can operate nimbly, can operate in the interest of its clients. So we know it can be done. And I think the diversity on your board certainly helps with that. And the passion and commitment of Miss Bill and the team at Exim. So congratulations for where you've been able to get to this time. And we looking forward to see more and more of our businesses utilizing the services of EXIM. So please download this week's memo. Lisa Bell, Managing Director of EXIM Bank, always a pleasure. Raquel Brown, MD of IRIROC and also Director of EXIM Bank. We also heard from clients of the EXIM Bank. We heard from Mark McConnell, from Bear Nutrition Products, those origin juices. We heard about the diversification into new product lines. We heard from Ansel Tempra, who is a producer of paper products, and he talked to us about his pivoting and what he has been utilizing this time for. But also, we have to credit him. 2022, what we say? Busway year. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of CovidCast. Yes, this was episode 79, which means that next week is episode 80. And you can't reach at episode 80 right before the Christmas season without it being our special Christmas episode with lots and lots and lots of giveaways. I see Dr. Smith says, CovidCast, thank you for the resources and support you've provided. Some positive stories will be shared in 2022, God willing, changing our service distribution channels and 2 books published and on sale via Amazon. More to come. We're deeply grateful. Oh, that is great to hear. Sandra Palmer says, EXIM Bank, thanks for all you're doing. Darda said, Boswe. And Kemoy says, very informative. So please share this episode, share, like, and share. It's available on our Facebook page. It's available on YouTube. So please go and subscribe to our YouTube page. Follow us on Instagram and ensure that you email us at sme@psoj.org so that you get our weekly memo, but you also get our tips. You get information on what's happening, and it keeps you informed with the PSOJ. So see you next week for episode 80, next week, Thursday at 7:30, because it's giveaway for you, Kamai, giveaway for you, Narda, giveaway for you, Sandra. Yes, it's our special Christmas episode. So see you next week.
Hi everybody, I'm Narda Ventura and welcome to Aquaworks. So what's Aquaworks? We are primarily a learn to swim school, and we focus on teaching children the water safety skill, drown prevention skill called swimming. Here at Aquaworks, we cater to children as young as 6 months old in our Baby and Me program, and we go straight up to 13 years old in our beginner program. This is our home here. This is our home pool designed specifically to teach children the love of water. Only facility covered in Jamaica and only facility warmed in Jamaica. Designed specifically to make sure that when children come here, they feel completely at home and comfortable and will actually learn to swim. We've been operating from this facility since 2017. And that was truly only made possible through our relationship with EXIM Bank. Having a noble passion and objective such as that, you would think that a number of people would be jumping at it and willing to back it, but that was not necessarily my experience in 2014. And I spent the better part of 2 years trying to find a bank that would facilitate this dream. One day, after being a part of a WINK accelerator program, my chair said to me, try EXIM Bank. At that time, honestly, I didn't even know about EXIM Bank because it's not listed as a commercial bank. And I thought to myself, there is no way that they're going to fund me because I'm probably going to be too small. Anyway, I went to EXIM and I met Kareem, or my loans manager. And I would consider my friend now because I have his cell number, you know. And Kareem said, Narda, rewrite this business plan, we're not getting it. And I rewrote it. And I think I probably even wrote it a 3rd time. And it just was not jumping out the way that it needed to. And I remember the day I called Kareem and I said, I need to present this to you for you to really understand what can happen here. The numbers are not going to show you, and the words on the paper will not show you what's going to happen. And he set up a meeting with his manager, and there I presented the dream of Aquaworks. Shortly thereafter, we got funding, and this became a reality. EXIM has been very good to me. I consider them my bank of choice right now. Every so often, maybe quarterly, I get a phone call asking me to rate my satisfaction level with the bank, and I've always maintained my answers with them, saying that this is the bank that I plan to grow with. I told Kareem that in another 2 years, watch out, because I'm coming for a bigger loan, because we're going to explode in this market, and I know that EXIM is going to be there to help me along. In 2020, when everybody was suffering, I only needed to call Kareem and say, listen man, I need help. And help came. I'm not going to tell you how my help came, but I'll tell you that EXIM held my hand during the period, and I'm now surviving. I was survived during that period, and I think I'm actually in a better position today than I would have been in pre-COVID.